Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a special racing car type transformer. So it goes well for this time of the year. It's coming up soon. We have the Monaco Grand Prix, and of course Memorial Day weekend is the running of the Indianapolis 500. So this time around I figured we'd take a look at a racing car. We've got a Decepticon Stunticon. This is the 1986 Warrior Dragstrip. Dragstrip was released in 1986. He would also be available in 1987. He would be discontinued in 1988, and we really wouldn't get a replacement for him, as by then the Warrior function was being phased out of the line. Probably for being a little too generic and boring, to say the least. Dragstrip here is, of course, one of the Stunticons. And thankfully, in most of the modern runs, he has continued to appear, and is still set up to be something like a racing car. I say this as he was included in the Rise of Combiners Transformer card game set, and they used a different alternate mode for him. But it's nice to see that a classic character still comes along, and I have handled a couple of modern Menasor toys, and they have included a yellow car to be representative of Dragstrip. So it's nice to see that he does have a long-standing legacy in the line. As far as articulation goes on Dragstrip, it's pretty minimal, but about what you'd expect for a combiner component. He only has it in his arms. His arms can rotate just about all the way around. I would assume they do have full 360-degree rotation. The problem being is this piece here in the back that basically forms the front of his car. It does get in the way. But overall, the arm can rotate all the way around. It's just the design of the front end of the vehicle mode tends to get in the way. Then, of course, there's this silly bit with his gun. As you can see here, he doesn't hold the gun in his hand. His gun mounts on what would probably be just behind his wrist, despite a lot of the other promotional artwork showing him holding the gun properly. He holds it on just about his wrist. Almost makes me think of that dart launcher that James Bond had in Moonraker. Oh well, at any rate, let's transform Dragstrip here. Of course, for starters, we remove the gun and set it aside. And then next we're going to straighten out his arms and get them to point downward like so. Turn him around for a second so that we can adjust the front of the car end outward like so that we can raise it up and it will clear the wheels. And then we fold it down over his head. Then next we will scoot the legs up like so. Take this silver piece and fold it outward so it forms the engine. And then just adjust the spoiler. And there we have it. This is Dragstrip's alternate mode. It's a racing car. It is an actual racing car. It is a Tyrrell P34 racing car, which did have 6 wheels. And did, about the time when this toy was first made, was based on a vehicle that did run in the Monaco Grand Prix. So it is based on a real vehicle, despite how strange it looks. but I've always liked it. I found it to be a very interesting vehicle, to say the least. At any rate, how does it roll? Well, he's on all plastic wheels, so on this plastic table, he should go pretty well. That he does. And with a good amount of force, he does go pretty fast, as you would expect of a racing car. Oh yeah, before we forget one other thing, he does have an optional cannon that can be plugged in here into the back. And then now he's got an attack mode. I can see this definitely coming in handy at a race. However, I don't think the folks at Monaco or Indianapolis would appreciate racing cars mounted with guns. Fans might like it, though. Might make the races a little more exciting. Let's face it, a fair amount of them do come to see the vehicles crash and practically disintegrate on the track. Fun times. Now, of course, it's time to take a look at Drag Strip's accessories. And for a Stunticon, as is typical with the Stunticons, he only had 2 accessories. The first one, of course, being his personal gun, which the card contents describe as a Gravito gun. So it kind of affects the gravity of the object that he hits with it. And of course, it's unique in the sense that it's done in this magenta-like color. Drag Strip's weapons are definitely noticeably different from everybody else's. It does have this nice little scope at the back, but given the size of this gun, it's almost kind of puny and rather useless. Then, of course, he has this plasma energy blaster. This is, of course, the gun that mounts to the car. It does rotate 360 degrees. Of course, that's if it's got the connector attached. The connectors aren't that easy to remove, and after 30 plus years of this thing being in there, I'm not going to force it out. But it should have the connector, so technically there's 3 pieces. The handgun, the actual large gun, and the connector, but if it's been played with, the connector should theoretically be in there. If it's not, then I wish you the best of luck in finding a loose connector. Now that's Drag Strip's loose pieces. Moving right along now, we'll take a look at Drag Strip's card backer. If I can get it over here. It's not in the best of shape, unfortunately. It does have a good picture of him here. It looks like this one was sold at a Toys R Us, and he retailed for about $7. Of course, he also has a promotional thing here for the iron-on patches that were given away in 1986. Around here in the back and up here has a little box. Talk about how you can request to get some of the patches for free without having to buy a transformer. Then you got the robot point. Drag Strip was worth half a point. And then, of course, you can see all of his teammates. And build Menasor. And we got the instructions on how to build the attack car and then turn the car into a robot. How to apply the stickers. And a reminder to save your points and how to read the tech spec down below. So we'll take a look down here. It's all done up in purple to signify he's a Decepticon. It says he's a Stunticon, and it uses the same picture here as what would be found on the front of the card. It gives his name as Dragstrip, and his function is Warrior. His motto is, the first one to cross the finish line lives. Nasty, underhanded, loves to gloat over his victories. Would rather be scrapped than lose. Prone to overheating. Megatron would soon melt him, then talk to him, but knows he's even worse company for the Autobots. In car mode, has Plasma Energy Blaster. Carries a gravity-enhancing Gravito gun. Combines with fellow Stunticons to form Menasor. And of course, we'll go over here and we'll lay the decoder over the grid and take a look at his vitals. It lists his strength as 6, his intelligence is 7, as is his speed. His endurance is 4, his rank is 5, his courage is 8, his firepower is 7, and his skill is 6. So aside from having a rather weak endurance, Dragstrip here is a moderately powerful Decepticon. So now we get to my thoughts. What do I think of Dragstrip? Dragstrip's an interesting character, and he's always been one of my favorites for the Stunticons. However, though, it's more how he acts that's his biggest weakness. Dragstrip is insanely competitive, as you saw there on his tech spec bio. He has to win at all costs, no matter what. So, he will often resort to underhanded or dirty tactics in order to win, no matter what the outcome, no matter what he's going after. He has to win, whether it be a car race or even a kill count in battle. He has to win. So that makes him ultra competitive, and his desire to use underhanded techniques just shows how dangerously psychotic he is when it comes to winning, as that means he can also often be goaded into a challenge and often get himself into situations where he needs help in order to get out of it. The problem with that being is because of his underhandedness, he doesn't have any friends amongst the other Decepticons that'll be willing to go and bail him out of trouble. So, Dragstrip, unfortunately, is a major league jerk. So, in a lot of the cases for that is why I'm going to put Dragstrip somewhere in the middle. Since being a jerk isn't a crime, despite how many of us feel that it should be, but it does affect his usefulness to not only to the Stunticons, as Motormaster often incites his anger by flaunting his own superiority over Dragstrip, but the fact that Dragstrip is so overly competitive on anything that he often puts himself and his teammates in extra jeopardy that really isn't necessary. Plus, another reason for my decision is the fact that his articulation is very poor, since all he's got is in the arms, and we really can't move them too much due to the fact that the nose of the car keeps getting in the way. That, and also I'm not a real fan of how his gun mounts on him. So, definitely, he's going to have to go in the middle tier, folks. He's not totally essential to the Army, but he just barely avoids being totally useless. Anyway, that's my look at the 1986 Decepticon Warrior Dragstrip. If If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up for us here on YouTube. New to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below and join up within our ranks. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you'll get notified when any new videos get posted. Please also share your thoughts about Dragstrip in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.